Hey guys, this is Brian from thetruthaboutwatches.com. Here today reviewing the Citizen Orca BL0016-04L. This is a 200 meter diver, and it's an eco drive, and Citizen kind of went out of their way to give it, I guess you'd call them circus-like looks, and it really kept me away from buying this watch for a long time. But I continued to look at it on Amazon all the time, and I just clicked through it, and I always thought it was really cool looking despite how silly it kind of looked at first. And finally I just found a deal on one and picked it up. And if you've read my written review, you'll know that my general feelings are I waited way too long to get this watch, and I'm really happy that I finally picked one up. You can see here it does have a signed crown, Citizen's typical little two arrows. The case is pretty large. I'd say it's comparable to an Orange Monster as far as the weight of the watch goes. The finish is like a kind of like a brushed polished. I know that makes no sense, but as you can see, it's not really a mirror finish like you'd get on a polished case, but it's also not your typical brushed finish. Just a pretty cool finish all around. It does have a screw down case back with your typical Citizen markings. Obviously it's on a rubber strap, so there's no solid end links, it's just a rubber strap. These are relatively difficult to get a new strap for because of the design of the lugs, as you can see there. The inside of the lugs is pretty small, so you'd need a weird looking NATO strap. But this band's actually really comfortable, the one that it comes with. I haven't really even thought about changing it. It's fairly flexible, as you can see here. No problems at all. It wears all day without any issues. The bezel's pretty solid. You can see there it turns pretty easily. It's not, I wouldn't say it's easy to bump or turn accidentally, but it does turn easily. One thing a couple people have noticed online and have asked a couple questions about, there is a little bit of space. Let's see if I can hear this. There's a little bit of space between the bezel and the case, which kind of gives it like a suspension feel, and it gets pushed back out by a small spring. I've been told, emailed Citizen directly, I've been told that is intentional. They don't really have a decent explanation for why they've done it, but it is intentional. One thing to note about the bezel, it does line up nearly perfectly across the dial. It's kind of hard, I understand, because the markers are big, but in the center of each marker the lume does line up. And it's, like I said, it's pretty solid. I wouldn't be worried about moving it unintentionally. It does have a solid click to it all the way around. Of course, it is the Eco Drive quartz, but if you can watch this for just a second, you'll see that the second hand lines up nearly perfectly across the entire dial. And if you've watched my reviews before, you'll know that one of my giant pet peeves is quartz watches where the second hand doesn't line up. Just kind of shows a lack of effort or a lack of engineering. And this E168 Eco Drive is flawless all the way across the dial. Just a few more things to note, and then we'll get to the lume. I'll show you this real quick. I'm not sure if that's going to come through or not. The engraving is very, very shallow on the back of this case, which isn't really a problem for me. It's just one of those things where I wish Citizen would have gone to a little more time and effort to really stamp that case back or engrave it better than that. As you can see here, we're getting towards midnight and the date's fixing to change. Yes, you can tell I'm from the south. I said fixing to. Of course, this case is titanium. And real quick, we'll kill the lights and get the LED out and charge up the lume a little bit. This lume, I don't know if I'd say it's on par with Seiko. I'd say it's pretty close. About 15-20 minutes in the sun will give you about 5 hours at nighttime, which really is completely acceptable. You're not going to get much better than that without buying a Seiko. And I think that Citizen actually beats Seiko out in the looks department with the blue lume, as you'll see here in just a second. They used a couple different colors actually. The lume pip on the bezel is green, and most of the lume inside the watch is the Citizen's Naturalite blue, which I think is just an amazing look. So we'll knock the lights out here, and there you go. Just very, very cool. Citizen, I'm not sure what made them choose that color. but I think it's just absolutely awesome. It's one of my favorite things about Citizen watches, and I kind of refuse to buy Citizens anymore that don't have the blue lume because it really sells the watches for me. I think I've got 5 separate Citizens all with the blue lume. Some people refer to it as Naturalite. Some people just refer to it as lume. I'm not really sure what Citizen calls it, but it's pretty cool either way. And as you can see there, the minute hand, you can still see the orange on the minute hand, which I'm sure that's not going to come through very well in the video, but the minute hand really stands out against the dial with the orange edging on it. Just going to bring the lights back up. I've had this watch now for about a week, and the movement's kept perfect time against the atomic clock. Haven't lost a second or gained a second at all. I'm sure that'll remain. The one thing this watch is lacking that a lot of Citizens do have is a power indicator for the Eco Drive. I don't really mind that too much. It's not really a problem for me. I would say that there's a lot of other things that some Citizen watches have or don't have that don't really concern me so much. The power reserve is nice, but being as how it's an Eco Drive and I work during the daytime, I'm just not concerned with it ever dying. As you can see here, the crystal is slightly domed. It's not going to be a real problem for me. These bezel guards do extend quite a bit off the top of the bezel, so I'm not really worried about the crystal getting scratched. It is a mineral crystal, but if you can see here, the anti-reflective coating is non-existent if it's on there. It's very thin. And it does make this watch incredibly difficult to photograph, and to read it in direct sunlight can get a little bit frustrating sometimes. But aside from that, this has been just an amazing watch. I'm so glad that I finally bought one, and I'm pretty upset that it took me this long to get one, so now I'm kind of hunting for one of the black ones also. I'd say if you've looked at this watch and the face of it catches your eye, it's definitely worth picking up. You can get them off of 21jewels.com for about $160 right now, so I don't think you can probably beat that for the design and quality of this Eco Drive. Been really impressed with Citizen lately, and this is no exception. So I guess that's about it, and I will see you guys next time.